So hi, I actually don't have much appetite today. I saw many nightmares. I don't have any money. I only have my coffee. As a matter of fact, I will eat later. I don't know while watching this video or probably filming this video. Yep, or later. But I will. I'm finding the video. I was gonna do something different because I don't have the appetite at the moment. I will do the Beren and Luthien story today. Okay, have my coffee. Helga, you really don't sound to have appetite. No, the dreams I saw were horrible. Helga, how do you know they were from Zeus? Didn't I explain yesterday when you know a dream is from Zeus or when a vision or a saying is from Zeus? That's what I say. And let's say he doesn't really like me. Anyways, so I'm gonna do Beren and Luthien. I hate this story. I know it is called love story. I know that Tolkien loved it when he wrote it. He was seeing his wife when he was delving himself into it. I personally don't like it at all. I find it something I can't describe to be fair. Trying to find if this is the correct video. Yeah, so that's a video by I'm speaking about the creator here. The exploring series, not that he needs my shout out, he has a million. Exploring Middle Earth, the tale of Beren and Luthien. It's one of the most disgusting love stories I have ever read. It traces back even before Beren Luthien. So Tolkien imagined a love story where the woman is immortal and the man is mortal or semi-immortal or demi-mortal or half mortal or half dead, doesn't really matter. He envisioned that and he said that's the coolest shit I have ever said to anybody. So what he did basically was let's make it happen 3 times, and he wrote a story named Melian and Elwe. That was the original pair because he really loved the crap that he created, and he made the story of Melian and I can crush it. Melian and Elwe. Melian was a Maya. I'm going in a linear order here so you understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay. And the woman was pretty much an angel. I don't know if you have read the Silmarillion. She was a Maya. Gandalf is a Maya. That's like a low-ranked angel. My father says I don't like that she was a spirit and he was a human, aka like a, a, a person with flesh and blood. Maybe that sounds plausible. Uh, she she saw him once. He was an elf destined to become king. He saw her once and she saw him and they fell in love and they decided to move together in the Middle Earth because Melian was very much fascinated with what Ilúvatar had created. So she made um, um, she packed her things pretty much and she went to Middle Earth with him. She married him and they had a daughter. Wow, what was the name? Luthien. Yeah, the Luthien you know. And then Elwë was renamed Thingol. I've not understood exactly why. I suppose Tolkien wanted to show how amazing he was in creating random words that nobody asked him to create. And if you're like Helga, that's harsh. Not harsher than the story that he created, if you get what I mean. I don't know if you get what I mean. And he became a lot greedy, sorry. He actually played a vital role into separating Luthien from her boyfriend Beren. One moment for this story, I'm not gonna spoil it, but that's why he became very greedy. And he basically took a Silmaril from the crown of Morgoth. Silmarils from the Silmarillion were very expensive jewelry in the crown of Morgoth. Morgoth is the original Satan pretty much in the stories of Tolkien. Tolkien liked to recycle his bullshit pretty much. Helga, why do you roast him so much? Isn't he your favorite? He is, but I didn't exactly say I like all his stories. As a matter of fact, I don't like all his stories. Sorry. He... Can I hit the guy here? He thought that it was very clever if he recycled stories, so he made one more Sauron, that's Morgoth. He made one more Ring of Power. He made the jewelry that Morgoth liked to wear. Obviously, Morgoth was a princess like Sauron and like Voldemort later. Like Rowling had the idea and she thought that it was fucking. When you say fucking in Greek, it's when you say something is terrific, perfect, amazing. That's exactly what I'm saying here. Like Rowling heard that and she was like, yeah, let's make it double. You get what I mean? Like let's have a guy villain that has an obsession with jewelry, rings, tiaras, crowns, jewelry like diamonds. Diamonds are for the princesses, aren't they? Anyways, I'm not gonna be sarcastic for this episode, I suppose. And Thingol actually caused his own downfall because he was fascinated by the Silmaril and they killed him in a manner like Ahab was killed, something like that. He was Ahab if he was a Barbie girl pretty much. And after his death, I have to say here, yeah, the angel Melian didn't do anything else apart from being beautiful and angel. She didn't do anything for her daughter, she didn't do anything for her husband. Their love was empty pretty much. What the fuck. And speaking of where I have to go, Melian left fucking Middle Earth. Where did she go? To hell, pretty much. She left. She actually had created a ring around a... I wish I knew. Who am I speaking? Playing with? Okay, I'm playing... I can't go there. Okay. No. Helga, what the fuck are you doing? I'm trying myself to get that pretty much. Okay. Okay, send this to hell. Thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, Melian went to hell pretty much after that. She was an angel that didn't really, she wasn't really angeling, if that makes sense. She she didn't provide anything for the story apart from being beautiful and crying for the beauty of Middle Earth. I remember when I was reading it and I was contemplating my life choices of having Tolkien as my favorite author because it's horrible. Helga, you can't be serious. Like, what do you like from Tolkien after that? Look, I wanna be very specific. That's gonna sound like a roasting session. I'm struggling to find anything useful or nice in his work lately. Like, I know that in the Saramago video I praised his writing skills. Uh, I don't know how many videos have passed since then. I watched a little bit the movie. I read a little bit of some of his stories, and I find myself I'm not feeling the same way as I was feeling back when I was um, 14, 15, 16, and so on, 13 years old, emo girl. I don't feel the same. I I was pretty much not enamored. I was fascinated with mythology back then when I was a teen, Greek mythology, and now I don't feel the same. Now I see it as a very bad, twisted even, um, collection of stories, some of them inspired by the demons, some of them not. But what I'm saying is I have changed a lot. I'm not the same person. I was a teen, mid-teen, tween, late teen. Now I am in my mid-20s. I am approaching my 30s. I'm not the same person exactly. Let's put it that way. Crazy as it sounds, I'm not. And I find myself disappointed by the work that he has left behind, and I'm not exactly. Look, I never read books anyway, so I have this problem to start with. I'm not reading. So that's the only character we can play with. Okay, let's set the boat. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Like his stories are all about death. All about death. Like as a Catholic that he was, he didn't find anything else to say about like life. I don't know, like everything is goes to decay after Ilúvatar loses the original plan that he had for creation through Ilúvatar is using music, let's put it that way, to create the world. After Morgoth, the original Satan uses music to his advantage in order to conquer the Middle Earth. Everything is decayed. Oh, wait. I like that. Before we continue, I will take that as a screenshot. So, when I was younger, I liked that. What am I doing here? Okay. I like that, but his stories, the mythological aspects, all the elements, because they remind me of mythology. But then I grew up, I suppose, and I realized that they have too much depth into them, and I'm not really fascinated with it. I always struggle to kill my characters and shit, and he created an entire universe from scratch just to fuck. So as I was saying, he created. Maybe I should start by this. I don't know. Did I finish the story of Melian? Melian. Let's recapitulate the story of Melian. She left Middle Earth. She was crying. She had created a disc to protect the kingdom that she was, the kingdom of the oh my god, Mario's gone. To protect the kingdom that she was ruling as a queen of the elves with Elwë, Thingol. And after she did that, let's put it that way, nothing happened. She just left, and she didn't help her daughter, she didn't help her husband, she didn't help her son-in-law. That story is considered the most beautiful story that Tolkien has ever written. I think that it is one of the most demonic bullshit I ever had the disappointment in my fucking life to read. I'm not taking this one back, bestie. Because the story is disgusting, and I don't care anybody will say otherwise. Um, so, to go back, what Tolkien actually wrote in the Silmarillion, Tolkien had made a god named Ilúvatar. That deity made me um, I was studying, after I finished studying James the Third of Scotland in summer 2019. that was after I decided to leave. I decided to leave the history somehow. I started reading about Ilúvatar and I became very fascinated with his story, the story of how he created the world, and because Rowling didn't have any deity, he was the only deity around. I became very fascinated with this topic, and like a fictional deity, I was thinking how to make my own Rashuz even better, like she existed even 6 years, and I decided to make her even better. And I found that he that summer that he was the coolest shit I have ever read, sorry. And I actually um went to church when I was back then, like the same church as I'm not gonna speak about it though, if you don't mind me. Um, I went to the church and they spoke about the creation the next day that I decided to read about Ilúvatar, and they told me that the preacher talked about how God created the universe and he wanted us to be with him, and we fell into sin and we have to believe in Jesus in order to be with him. And okay, at least we got something. Okay, but let's Q laboratory updated. We have more ranks and sheets. That's good, I suppose. Okay. You unlocked the smash action, destroy stone blocks and access new locations. Okay. So you update it and you gain more, right? So I was reading the same thing. What I was reading basically was that pumpkin like chain zombie is the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Oops, spoke too soon. There is a second game called Sparks of Hope. A fossilized spiny shell. We must find a way to restore it and then spend the rest of our time trying to avoid it. There is a second game with the rabbits. It's called um, it is called Sparks of Hope. I'm gonna play it, I suppose, after I finish this one. I don't know. Anyways, so we're smashing now. We can smash. Okay, let's go here first. Okay, you have to learn to do this first. Okay, So I was reading about how he created the cosmos. It's quite the gearhead. He gearhead. Never mind it. I didn't get it. It's English is not my first language. That's why. So as I was saying, I was reading about Iluvatar and became interested, and I liked how he was creating the world with music, and he seemed the coolest shit ever. And then I had um, the sermon about how God created the world. We didn't hear anything like, if you're like, "Yeah, what else did you hear?" How God created the world and how he wanted to be with us, and we pretty much didn't want to be with him, and that pretty much matched um, what Tolkien was saying in the story. Like, people fell into sin and they didn't want to be with God, and that made God upset, I suppose, and he corrupted the entire world just because people are stupid, I suppose. And that was the story that I heard, and no, I wasn't really a fan, I have to say. Um, but reject renegade has only one function: to erase your enemies. Now finish the game. Okay. And regardless, I took it as a sign that God was showing me stuff about himself, and I felt very upset about myself back then because I didn't like the God of the church at all. I preferred the Iluvatar from the story. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very mouth of the lion itself. Bowser Jr. has been busy since his father left. Okay. So that's the kingdom of Bowser. Okay. Yeah. It looks as if he has transformed the heart of the volcano into some sort of military production facility. I fear our travels thus far are just a prelude for what it is to come. Be on your guard. So if it rains, it pours lava. My father says that's Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. You found a new 3D model. Check it out at the museum. Let's go to the Battle HQ. So what I was saying is that okay. So we need more money about that, right? So as I was saying, I preferred Iluvatar pretty much. I didn't prefer my own god, and that made me feel horrible about myself. I found Iluvatar more entertaining, more um, I don't know what to say at this point. I felt that um, I didn't like my own god. Let's put it that way. I liked more the Iluvatar that I was reading about in Tolkien's stories back then, and that made me feel very upset because I was feeling that I am disappointing my dad, and I never wanted to do that. My father says you didn't disappoint me. They disappointed you because they gave you a god, my little girl. That wasn't interesting. He was very dull, that's what he says. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Do you mean I didn't like uh, the god of the church because you are the guy that rested the seventh day after creation? His skin must be irritated, probably all the dry air down here. Hey, stop scratching and use some aloe. Aloe. So yeah, I didn't like it, as I said. I have to confess it. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. That was interesting. Remote hog, you found a new tarot. Check it out at the museum. So that's why I didn't like him. He was too focused on sin and shit, and I don't know, I didn't like it. Combat in the cemetery, you found a new soundtrack. Check it out at the museum. And when the preacher, I'm not gonna speak a lot about him because he's the guy that you remember. I told him that I was reading about Iluvatar. He didn't know what Iluvatar is. I explained, and I said that I found that as a sign God wants me to know more about the creation. Use them to upgrade your hero skill tree at the Battle HQ. Because usually when you are a pagan, you are expected to know more about how God created the world. It's a very fundamental thing in our belief, in the belief. Any room in there for an all based scientific research computer don't take up much space, so well worth the shot. Sorry, it's too far away and I can't see very well the letters. So I said that my father says to please me. Yes, I didn't say it because I liked it. I took it as a sign that you want me to talk about you, learn more about you and shit. You are calling me. But Dad, I didn't like at all the sermon. What did he say? He said that um, when you created the world in 7 days and you you expected us to follow a command and we didn't, and we fell away from you, we fell into sin. We can't go again where you are. He says, Helga, why are you crying? I don't know. I don't know why I'm crying. And he said, you can't bribe your door in the sky. And if you want to be with God again, realize that what you do is nothing for Him and you have to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. That's what he said. My father says, Helga, what did I say about the Pharisees? I said to them, you are closing the door for the others, you are not entering yourselves. What do you Pharisees? I know you did. I'm just explaining myself here, that's all. and my father wanted me to say the verse. It's, I remember that. That's Matthew 24. I don't know why I can't find it. I remember it was Matthew 24. Okay, so it's 23. But a curse is on you, scribes and Pharisees, false ones, because you are shutting the kingdom of heaven against men, for you do not go in yourselves, and those who are going in you keep back. A curse is on you, scribes and Pharisees, false ones, for you go about land and sit together one disciple, and having him, you make him twice as much a son of hell as yourselves. Blind guides who say, whoever takes an oath by the temple, it is nothing. But whoever takes an oath by the gold of the temple, he is responsible. You foolish ones and blind, which is greater, the gold or the temple which makes the gold holy? And whoever takes an oath by the altar, it is nothing, but whoever takes an oath by the offering which is on it, he is responsible. You blind ones, which is greater, the offering or the altar which makes the offering holy? He then who takes an oath by the altar takes it in the altar and by all things on it. And he who takes an oath by the temple takes it in the temple and by him whose house it is. And he who takes an oath by heaven takes it by the seat of God and by him who is seated on it. A curse is on you, scribes and Pharisees, false ones, for you make men give a tenth of all sorts of sweet-smelling plants, but you give no thought to the more important things of the law, righteousness and mercy and faith. But it is right for you to do this and not to let the others be undone. You blind guides who take out a fly from your drink, but make no trouble over a camel. That's not exactly what Jesus wrote. It's a mistranslation. He didn't say about a camel. He said uh, that they are trying to put a rope through the needle. That's what he said. It's an ancient Greek word, camelos. It's a rope. Because it sounds like Camilla, camel, they are translating it usually as a camel, but I understand it's not very far away from what my father said. Like, even if you say camel, it's okay, because uh, I guess it's funny. My father says it's funny and woke. Yeah, it's funny. So yeah, it's not a bad mistranslation, just explaining for the people that say the Bible is corrupted. There are some things that you don't really understand if you are a foreigner, and that's why I explain here. False ones, for you make clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but inside they are full of violent behavior and uncontrolled desire. You blind Pharisee, first make clean the inside of the cup and of the plate, so that the outside may become equally clean. A curse is on you, scribes and Pharisees, false ones, for you are like the resting places of the dead, which are made white and seem beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and of the all unclean things. Even so you seem to men to be full of righteousness, but inside you are all false and full of wrongdoing. A curse is on you, scribes and Pharisees, false ones, because you put up buildings for housing the dead bodies of the prophets, and make fair the last resting places of good men, and say, if we had been living in the days of our fathers, we would not have taken part with them in the blood of the prophets, so that you are witnesses against yourselves that you are the sons of those who put the prophets to death. Make full then the measure of your fathers, you snakes, offspring of snakes. How will you be kept from the punishment of hell? For this reason I send you prophets and wise men and scribes. Some of them you will put to death and put on the cross, and to some of them you will give blows in your synagogues, driving them from town to town, so that on you may come all the blood of the upright of the earth, from the blood of upright Abel to the blood of Zechariah, son of Berechiah, whom you put to death between the temple and the altar. Truly I say to you, all these things will come on this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, putting to death the prophets, and stoning those who are sent to her. Again and again would I have taken your children to myself, as a bird takes her young ones under her wings, and you would not. See, your house is made waste, for I say to you, you will not see me from this time till you say a blessing on him who comes in the name of the Lord. So, my father said about this passage here, and also he spoke about the I thought of reading it out. It's the if I found it, yeah, I suppose. The love is patient. There are so many references, I have no idea how I will find it without wasting time, that is. So, it's the 1 Corinthians 13, if I make use of the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am like sounding brass or a loud tongued bell. And if I have a prophet's power and have knowledge of all secret things, and if I have all faith, by which mountains may be moved from their place, but have not love, I am nothing. And if I give of my goods to the poor, and if I give my body to be burned, but have no love, it is of no profit to me. Love is never tired of waiting. Love is kind. Love has no envy. Love has no high opinion of itself. Love has no pride. Love's ways are even fair. It takes no thought of itself, for itself. It is not quickly made angry. It takes no account of evil. It takes no pleasure in wrongdoing, but has joy in what is true. Love has the power of undergoing all things, having faith in all things, hoping all things. Though the prophet's word may come to an end, tongues come to nothing, and knowledge have no value more. Love has no end. For our knowledge is only in part, and the prophet's word gives only a part of what is true. But when the which is complete is come, then that which is in part will be no longer necessary. When I was a child, I made use of a child's language. I had a child's feelings and a child's thoughts. Now that I am a man, I have put away the things of a child. For now we see things in a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now my knowledge is in part, then it will be complete, even as God's knowledge of me. But now we still have faith, hope, love, these three, and the greatest of these is love. So I like this very much. So I hated Tolkien's work these days, I have to say. I'm hating it, but Back then I liked how he made Iluvatar, and as I was telling you that, I guess I will continue talking to my dad here because he asked me question. I I preferred Iluvatar, not what I heard in the story in the church. Why, he says? Because Iluvatar created the world with music, and I like that he was singing. He was singing to everybody, and he made them, I don't know, he made them love music. That's what I liked. I really liked that, and I found it very impressive how Tolkien came up with this idea. I actually conceived my sainture idea, the angels, from that, but I wasn't inspired by music itself. I liked it. Was inspired to create something about time because, as a Greek, I spoke about the Greek mythology before. I was interested in mythology back then. Aristotle spoke about how God was the unmovable, moving entity that um, started the motion of all things, and I decided to put some like so-called real theology in it and make it like a real deity. So S creates time from nothing, and I thought that it's something better, I suppose, than Tolkien. Um, my father is asking a question. Helga, he says, did Ese ever punish the earth for what Lar did in the heaven? No, no, she didn't. He says, why? Do you want me to explain what Ilúvatar did with Morgoth and what Ese did with Lar? He says yes, if you want to do that. Okay, so what happens in the story of Tolkien is that Ilúvatar created everything from his brain. They are the children of his mind. The forgot their name. The Valar. The Valar are like the higher Maya angels. He created them out of his mind. My dad says, Helga, did he get inspired by Plato? Yes, I can see it now. I didn't see it before, but yes, he did, because that's Platonic. Create somebody from your head, like the child of your mind. That's how it is called in Enulidali. I think that's the name of the world. I'm not quite the story, the novel. That's in Silmarillion. It was an uncompleted story by Tolkien, obviously. I don't know exactly because I read it in Greek when I was 15. I'm not the same age anymore, and I didn't read it in English. The first story, by the way, just the first novel, from like the first short story, if you want it, from the Silmarillion. That's the story that Christopher Tolkien published, and when it was published, you read the first story as such that Ilúvatar, Eru, the one, he created from his mind the children of his mind. They were ideas. Maybe I can ask Pilot if he wants to contribute here. Can you give me the opening of how Ilúvatar created the world? Yeah, it's Enulindale, the music of the Enur, as I called it. Here's a summary. The one existed alone. He created the Ainur, holy spirits or powers, from his thought. He taught them music, and together they performed a great symphony. Each one contributed to the themes, but they all were guided by Ilúvatar's will. Give me the opening paragraph or sentence, please. Yeah, so there was Eru, the one who in Narda is called Ilúvatar, and he made first the Ainur, the holy ones, that were the offspring of his thought, and they were with him before everything else was made, and he spoke to them propounding to them themes of music, and they sang before him, and he was glad. Yeah, that's inspired by Plato. That's the mind of Zeus. That's the Matrix. My father says so. The universe is a ball in Middle Earth. Yes, Dad. It's a ball. Actually, Ilúvatar created a ball. That's the Middle Earth, and he says he created it through music. Yes, he did. Why do you ask? Because he says the Greeks valued music very much, and it's just a thought that I had. Okay, so you say that Tolkien was talking with Zeus, right? He says yes. Fuck my life. My father says I am impressed because this is very rare that you always don't like stuff that come directly from Zeus, and it's usually not the case. Yeah, I know that. I know. Thank you. He says thank you for being my daughter. So, you asked me how the universe was created for Ilúvatar. It was a ball, and after the singing of in the Akalabeth, he sang Númenor. After he sang Númenor, the world becomes flat. So from round earth, you become flat earth. My father says, Helga, did he get inspired by science for that? Possibly, because the earth is the universe is either expanding in all directions like a paper in science, or it is a very big ball in a multiverse expanding to nothing, or it is curved backwards, so it doesn't really have ending, but it circles back to its own. My father says that's still a sphere though. Yes, pretty much it is a sphere, I agree with you. He says what is going on with the shapes though. Για έκανα σκοπpilot about that. Ένα σκοπpilot. Copilot, what shape does the Middle Earth or the cosmos of Ilúvatar has initially, and what it has in the end? Great question, Helga. Tolkien's cosmology, especially the shape of the world created by Ilúvatar, goes through a dramatic transformation. It is not just mythic, it's geometric prophecy. In the beginning, Arda, the world was flat. The continents were laid out like a divine stage, with Aman, the land of the Valar, in the west, Middle Earth in the center, and the outer lands beyond. Outer lands. Do I have a same name with this? Seriously? Outer lands. Seriously. Helga, you didn't know that because you have the. Yeah, I have a country named Outer Lands. But as I didn't I say before, I didn't read it in English. I read it in Greek. I read it in Greek. I didn't create the world when I was reading it, so I don't even remember how it is called. So I didn't have the name in the older version didn't have outer lands, my story. It only had the three countries, my story. It didn't have it didn't have the 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 structure that it has today. I created the outer lands with my dad. My father says, did we? Yes. I will finish this and then I will come back to that because I'm actually shocked right now. The sun and moon were created later and moved across the sky like chariots. That's pagan. That's Apollo had the sun and hold on. That discussion is gonna drive me crazy today. Apollo's chariot. What the fuck here? Like mythology. In Greek mythology, Apollo, the sun god, rode a fiery chariot pulled by four uncontrollable horses across the sky each day to bring light in the world. This celestial journey was so dangerous that Apollo's mortal son Phaethon was killed by Zeus for losing control of the chariot, which caused great damage. The sun chariot itself is a powerful symbol of the sun's daily journey, with Apollo representing the order and logic associated with light. So, what I'm saying here is that what he says here, Tolkien, the sun and moon were created later and moved across the sky like chariots. That's pretty pagan. Did Tolkien appreciate Greek myth? Oh, yes, J.R.R. Tolkien appreciated Greek mythology, drawing inspiration from it while also expressing some disdain for certain aspects of ancient Greek civilization. He was well versed in the classics and was particularly influenced by Homer, incorporating elements like the myth of Atlantis and themes of hospitality and the sublime into his work. Appreciation for Homer, classical themes, philological expertise, dislike for Greek culture. Despite his appreciation for Greek mythology, Tolkien expressed negative opinions about Greek culture, negative opinions about ancient Greek civilization, calling them nasty people, according to an article in Law and Liberty. Okay, that's not really nice. That's not really nice at all. Helga, you roast Greeks all the time. Yeah, because I am a Greek and um, I don't like having foreigners judging my people like that, to be fair. Yeah, I am doing it, but I didn't call anybody nasty person from another culture. I didn't call anybody Chinese, Africans and shit nasty. No, that's disgusting. If somebody does that, it's disgusting. What I'm saying is particular things like I don't like that Chinese hit statues, but at the same time I say they have amazing stories. Like what I'm saying is constructive criticism. Like don't do that, do something else. You get what I mean? So I'm not saying they are nasty. No, I'm actually pretty much I have said many times that I think Chinese women should have more liberties. As a woman who has discussed with Chinese women, so I'm not making things up here. I'm talking about my experience with them. They have a dislike for the men that they date, and I understand that a fellow woman myself, I understand that very much. Okay, so that's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying for all cultures. So he wrote he didn't like my culture. Yeah, he didn't like my culture, but at the same time he has been inspired by my culture. That my father says because they don't promote Greek culture, they promote the Greek gods. Yes, I know, I have said that. It is part of the nasty Hellenism in which I was brought up, in which the highly dubious character Socrates became more than a saint. That's what Tolkien says. Tolkien, bestie, I know you are dead, but go fuck yourself. Socrates was a saint because he was talking with my dad and he was executed by the Athenian government because he was inserting new deities in Athens. That doesn't just make him divine, he makes him a martyr before Christ. And just because all we have about him comes from fucking Plato doesn't mean that he didn't exist. Better ask a Greek, and if the Greek says bullshit, roast the Greek, but you can't be a British person and say bullshit about a Greek person without knowing shit. Dubious character, no, he was not dubious. I think your characters are dubious. Honest, reliable. Yeah, your characters are dubious, Tolkien, and I think your theology is very dubious as well, because you are talking about my dad in a juicy manner, and that's dubious. You get what I mean? So the ancient Greeks were for all their talents a very nasty people of degraded habits and revolting attitude to women, and profoundly disliked by those among them who were supposed to take us representatives, such as Plato. I need to leave this sink a little bit. My father is laughing. What did he say again? The ancient Greeks were for all their talents. So we were talented. Thank you. I didn't expect a monkey from the 20th century to tell me that my people back 3,000 years ago had talents, but thank you for that. A very nasty people of degraded habits and revolting attitude to women. We didn't do anything to our women. We I don't know what to say here. Nasty people, degraded habits. What was our degraded habits? We didn't have degraded habits. Like, even for pagan understanding, we were very okay. The only problem I have with my culture, if we speak about habits, is that they were promoting having lovers. Like, that's in Symposium. I'm making myself clear here. Plato in Symposium says men from your age, they have to have lovers that are younger than me. And when I say younger than me, even 10 years younger than me, if you get what I mean, even 15 years younger than me. So that's what Plato writes in the Symposium. I disagree fully with that. I think it's disgusting. And I think it's degrading, yeah, but we didn't have anything else apart from that. We didn't systematically rape women. We didn't treat them like rubbish. Yes, they had limited rights and shit, but they weren't violated. For example, say if you get what I mean, as a Chinese woman would break her feet to marry a rich husband. That's not something a Greek woman would do. If she had to marry a rich person, she had to be pretty, that's all. If she wasn't, she would just still marry somebody else, probably not so rich. That was only the problem. So you can say they had an Instagram phase in the ancient times. No, we didn't treat our women badly. The worst part in our civilization about women was that they weren't permitted to go alone anywhere without somebody to escort them. Nothing else apart from that. And just because some men were having lovers from younger than me, as I said, that doesn't mean all Athenian Greeks did that. Yeah, the majority probably did that. It was the custom. That's why it's called custom, because it is the majority. But not all women were like that. Pericles was married to a prostitute named Aspasia, and he loved her very much. She was very pretty. She was very knowledgeable. She knew philosophy. She was adored by him. Even Alexander the Great, who was not a philosopher, he was a king. He married a woman from a different civilization, Roxanne, and he loved her very much. There are some woke bullshit walking around the globe that he was a gay person and he didn't care about Roxanne and he had a boyfriend. Bullshit. That's crazy to assume. He was a Greek. He wouldn't have a boyfriend as a Greek. That was disgusting for ancient Greek customs. You get what I mean? That's woke bullshit. They are trying to make an ancient Greek a gay person because they are trying to justify their agenda. No, the Greeks weren't doing that. Even if they had the sexuality, it was not expected by a Greek to be gay openly in public because it was disgusting from the pagan deities. The pagan deities banned that. That's what I mean. And they have this agenda that Greeks were gays. No, we were not. Thank you. Take your gay, woke bullshit out of my country. That's what I'm saying. We didn't do that. And if you wanna give power to the LGBT community, don't feed them with lies that are gonna damage them in the long run. Because telling them, look, the Greeks worshipped Zeus, they were gays, it's gonna damage them. You're gonna make them worship Zeus. Okay, that's no good. And I'm gonna say here that's woke bullshit. You get what I mean? Even Alexander had a wife from a different culture, as I said, and he loved her very much. She was a princess and he loved her very much, Roxanne. So not all Greeks did what I say. Some of them did, and some of them cared about the women. That's what I'm saying. It's part of my culture, that too. Okay. So, and revolting attitude to women, and profoundly disliked by those among them who were supposed to take as representative, such as okay, profoundly. So sorry Zea, my English isn't English. So οι αρχαίοι Έλληνες είχαν ταλέντα παρόλα αυτά, αλλά ήταν βρωμεροί άνθρωποι από χάλια habits και είχαν και χάλια τη συμπεριφορά στις γυναίκες και ήταν τρώγανε hate, ξέρω εγώ, από αυτούς που από αυτούς ανάμεσά τους οι οποίοι υποτίθεται τους είχαν για αντιπροσώπους. Δηλαδή, τους είχαν για αντιπροσώπους, δηλαδή τον Πλάτωνα. Okay, sorry, I translated to make sense in my head. So, he says that fucking Plato hated the Greeks. Tolkien, read the room, don't appropriate cultures, and if you don't know what the fuck you are talking about, just shut your mouth. Yeah, I know you are dead, but I'm just saying here for every Tolkien that knows that thinks he knows his bullshit. No, you don't know your bullshit, you don't know anything, you don't even know what is going on inside your colon, bestie. Not let alone what is going on in your own crap in the toilet. Plato didn't hate the Greeks. He didn't hate the Greeks, bestie. He was a Greek. He was very proud of being a Greek. He wanted my culture to become better, and he hated on the sophistes, which are thinkers trying to be philosophers, and they're not doing philosophy/mysticism properly. That's what he said. So if Andrews was an ancient Athenian, and I was an ancient Athenian as well, I would be a philosopher, Andrew would be a sophistes, for my understanding. He's not doing mysticism properly. That's what Plato is writing. No, he didn't hate the Greeks. I don't know what the fuck Tolkien is talking about. Honestly, now I get why I dislike some of his works. Being a nasty person, I guess, is a full-time job for some people. But my father asked me a question. I will finish this. Okay. The stars were placed by Varda, queen of the Valar, as lights in the firmament. This flat world was mythically symmetrical, like a sacred diagram, not scientific but symbolic. Final shape, round world. So I told them in the opposite manner. It was flat and then it became round. Yeah. After the fall of Númenor, Ilúvatar changed the shape of the world. He removed Aman from the physical plane. Only the elves could still reach it by the straight road, which bypassed the curvature of the earth. The world became round like our modern earth. This act was a cosmic punishment and a boundary setting. Mortals could no longer reach the divine realm. The shift from flat to round wasn't just geographical, it was spiritual exile. Ilúvatar didn't just reshape the world, he reshaped access to eternity. Yeah. Okay. You spoke about outer lands. What is the word for what is the word for it in the Greek translation? And what were they? I don't even remember that. I don't even remember that. My father is laughing. In Tolkien's cosmology, the Outer Lands refer to the regions of Arda that lie outside Aman and Middle-earth, essentially the broader world beyond the central mythic stage. In Greek translations of the Silmarillion, this term is rendered as εξωτερικές χώρες, external countries. Appears in Greek editions of the Silmarillion to describe the lands beyond the Blessed Realm and Middle-earth. What were they? In the early Flat World cosmology of Arda, Tolkien described several regions: Aman, the Blessed Realm, home of the Valar and Elves who crossed the sea; the central continent, where most of the stories take place, is Middle-earth; and Outer Lands, εξωτερικές χώρες, the lands beyond Middle-earth and Aman, including the East, often mysterious and unexplored, home to distant peoples like the Easterlings; the South, sometimes associated with Harad and other unknown regions; the North and West, beyond the seas, often symbolic and of divine or unreachable realms. These regions were not fully mapped; they served as mythic margins, places of mystery, exile, or divine separation. It resembles sometimes in my story, but my story didn't exactly have them. The Outer Lands is actually a union in my story. They symbolize the barbaric countries of our age. So what country is Greece called barbaric? They are the Outer Lands and they are called the others in the common language. So Creon calls them others, as if they are aliens pretty much, because he's a Velardian pretty much. So he's a Greek, and he he is one of the people who see them as other people, pretty much like a different race. Athena was the only person who saw them as one of them. She mapped them inside the Union and she started trading with them. They worshipped traditionally Euterpe, but after Esse died, they started worshipping Terra instead and Esse. So yeah, they are not very different. They are just misunderstood in my story. No, I swear to my dad. My dad is laughing. My dad is laughing. I swear to my dad. I had absolute no clue about this. I didn't know. I didn't know there was such a thing in the stories. I didn't read the Silmarillion in English. I read it in Greek. And when I'm trying to translate, when I'm reading my story, I wrote my story. The verb is not verbing. I wrote my story in English. So when I was trying to write it to translate it for my mom, I am translating it in um, in Greek, and I struggle very much to translate the Outer Lands because I can't find anything equivalent translated. So it said εξωτερικές χώρες here, that's the translation. I never found the proper translation. So I gave the name, yes, I gave the name straight from English. That's how it landed in my head. My father says, was it a child of your head, Helga? I suppose it is then. So, you asked me about the story. Yeah, the earth was round in the story of Tolkien. We read that already, and he pretty much created the music. He made all the Ainur sing with his music, and yeah, he basically what he did was teach them how to sing music. My father says, I don't think this is my story. Why? Why you think it's not your story? He says, I like to sing, but teaching music sounds like Zeus. You mean about the music? I don't understand it because because my father says if it was my story, I would be singing and I wouldn't teach anybody anything. Dad, do you mean, I'm trying to understand now what he means, do you mean that Plato, who spoke about the world of the ideas, actually inspired this crap, like teaching somebody before the creation in the world of the ideas? My father says we are in the world of ideas, obviously. Okay, okay, I hear you, I hear you. Okay, so what else is there to discuss? How the story, he says, ends. Melkor, who is Morgoth later named. My father says that's artistic name. Yeah, that's artistic name, pretty much. He says I'm not amused. So Morgoth wanted to have partaking in the music of Ilúvatar. My father says, but Ilúvatar was teaching music anyway, so why couldn't he have participation in the music? Yeah, because according to the story, they had to do the music exactly as Ilúvatar was teaching it, so they couldn't alter anything into the story. My father says, if Ilúvatar wanted to sing himself, why didn't he do it himself and he taught others to do it for him? Okay, I hear you. You say that he's Dionysus, he forced Pentheus pretty much to do his shit. He says yes. He says why couldn't Melkor do whatever he wanted with the music? Ilúvatar wanted to create the world specifically, and the topic is of the story. You will learn that everything comes as I always wanted it to come. I can read it. I understand you have some issues with the story. My father says I have a lot of issues with the story. I prefer your version. Okay, thank you, Dad. Can you tell me, Copilot, the discussion Ilúvatar has with Morgoth about music? Because Yahweh says parenthesis, Yahweh doesn't like the story at all, and he thinks Ilúvatar doesn't represent his deity Yahweh, aka Christian God, at all, and I want to know why. This is a diagnosis. He says, okay, Ilúvatar doesn't speak much, but when Melkor tries to reshape the music with his own themes, Ilúvatar responds not by silencing him, but by waving his discord into deeper harmony. He says, and thou, Melkor, shall see that no theme may be played that hath not its uttermost source in me. This means even rebellion is absorbed into Ilúvatar's design. Melkor's chaos becomes part of the beauty of the final creation. Ilúvatar doesn't punish, he reverses. Yahweh, your dad might say this because Ilúvatar is passive, not judicial. He listens, absorbs, and transforms. Yahweh is active, corrective, and emotionally evolved. Ilúvatar allows discord to flourish. Melkor's rebellion isn't stopped, it's folded into the music. Yahweh might see this as enabling evil. No, he doesn't say that. My father, everybody, he says that the story doesn't represent his character at all. That's what my father says. He says that the story is demonic to its core. That's what he says, that Melkor should be allowed to do his bullshit and not have Ilúvatar tell him what to do. My father says because he taught music, so why doesn't he allow them to do it as they want to do it? Because he is God and everything comes from him, so everything that comes from him, my father says, has to be done in his way only. Yeah, his way. He says that's not me. Okay, okay. I struggle to. Um, Iluvatar is distant. Yahweh is theatrical and intimate. Yahweh speaks like a dad. Iluvatar speaks in cosmic terms. Okay, I have to read it myself, the Silmarillion PDF. I suppose. Not the foreword, I want the Nulidali, Falacuenta. Okay. Um, where the fuck is that? I'm trying to find. Yeah, Nulidali. There was Eru, the one who in Narada is called Iluvatar, and he made first the Ainur, the holy ones, that were the offspring of his thought, and they were with him before aught else was made. Okay. And it came to pass that Iluvatar called together all the Ainur and declared to them a mighty theme, unfolding to the things greater and more wonderful than he had yet revealed. And the glory of its beginning and the splendor of its end amazed the Ainur, so that they bowed before Iluvatar and were silent. Then Iluvatar said to them, of the theme that I have declared to you, I will now that ye make in harmony together a great music. And since I have kindled you with a flame imperishable, ye shall show forth your powers in adorning this theme, each of with his own thoughts and devices, if he will. But I will sit and hearken, and be glad that through you great beauty has been awakened into song. So everybody hears, and Melkor spread discord, and he didn't like what he did. Dark waters were made to like war or upon one another in an endless wrath that would not be assuaged. That's what it says. Iluvatar arose and he said, behold, and a third theme grew amid the confusion, and it was unlike the others. My father says, Helga, the concept is order and chaos. It's not love and death. Yeah, I know. Look, I understand what you're trying to tell me. You are trying to tell me believe that the story that I have given you, but I don't know how I can believe that you have given me such a great work to do. Because I'm only human, and I never wanted something great for myself. And I don't mind saying that and being vulnerable in the camera, because I understand that's what you are trying to say, that this is not your story and you are disgusted by it. I understand that. I feel the same, but I don't think my story is so good as you say. He says, can you read what Ilúvatar says to Melkor? Yeah. Behold your music, and he showed to them a vision, giving to them sight where before was only hearing. Arid they saw a new world made visible before them, and it was globed amid the void. Yeah, the world, Dad, I can see it. It's the world, and the void is chaos, right? Order and chaos, as you said. I didn't know that before. And it was sustained therein, but was not of it. And as they looked and wondered, this world began to unfold its history, and it seemed to them that it lived and grew. And when the Ainur had gazed for a while and were silent, Ilúvatar said again, behold your music. This is your minstrelsy. Minstrelsy. I don't know this word. Can I can I find it somewhere? Copilot. What is in Greek? Minstrelsy. refers to the art of practice or singing, storytelling, poetic performance. The closest Greek is μουσική ποίηση, απαγγελία με μουσική, okay. Okay, I understand now. So it's music, it's, yeah, music. And each of you shall find contained herein, amid the design that I set before you, all of those things which it may seem that he himself devised or added. So whatever they made, it was, my father says exactly, it was what Ilúvatar wanted them to do. They didn't have any free will. Okay, I see. And thou, Melkor, wilt discover all the sacred thoughts of thy mind, and wilt perceive that they are but a part of the whole and tributary to its glory. So you say that what happened with the chaos is part of Ilúvatar's plan. My father says yes, he wanted people to suffer exactly like Zeus wanted people to suffer with Prometheus and the flood. I didn't. I know you don't like me to speak like that, but can I say I'm sorry on behalf of everybody that has wronged you so much, father? My father is crying. He says, don't speak like that. Somebody has to say I'm sorry, and I don't think these people will, and that's why I do it. I stroll in the cemetery. You found a new soundtrack, check it out at the museum. My father says, my weeping Jeremiah. He asks me, did everybody get punished because Melkor did something bad? Yeah, they did. He said, is Melkor Prometheus? Yes, he is. Bloober note, you found a new tarot, check it out at the museum. He says, do you understand now why I said that Tolkien was a cunning servant, and he said that I am asking for more than I have given, and I am taking interest with my, I don't know how to translate the word that he says from Greek. I'm taking the capital and I take the interest as well. Of course you do. He laughs. Because I told you to sell death and take the interest. um, yeah, my father had said that story, that's the parable, and he said he's gonna take what he gave Tolkien and add it to me. I have 10, he said, and he will take the one that Tolkien had and he will add it to me, so I have 11, and I will have a bigger work than him. He asks me, did everybody get punished in the story of Essen? No, they didn't. I will explain how this worked. So now I'm gonna speak about my own story for the remaining, and probably I will put the video as well. I ate some pie, I ate some chocolate, I felt rejuvenated. I can't pronounce some words because I have only seen them. I haven't read them anywhere. I haven't heard them, sorry, being said by anybody, so I don't know how to pronounce them myself. That's what I'm saying. So, can I access this platform? Probably not. So, It's a better rabbit retreat. They dance naked around the campfire to reclaim their rabbitness. um, Maybe here. Yeah. So, now I have to say my story because my dad said he doesn't like the story of Tolkien, so I guess I have to say my own now. Um, okay. I missed playing Minecraft, by the way. So my story with Esse is kind of the same beginning. You got 5 power orbs, use them to upgrade your hero skill tree at the battle HQ. Okay. So what I did with Esse was make her create everything. I did that when I was 16. My father says, "What age were you when you did that?" I was 16. I was a mystic. So my father says, "So you were a mystic, but you wrote this story for me?" Yeah, I did, because as I have said, I didn't know mysticism isn't about talking with Yahweh. I thought it was talking with Yahweh, right? 40. So what I did was say that Esse, the queen, made everything, including the sanctuary. And the sanctuary were, as I said, the fathers of time, pretty much. Not exactly fathers, they had like a divine realm. My father says like responsibilities. Yes, they had responsibilities, you can say it so. The responsibility they have, like Eshe created time. That's what she did. She created time. Okay, so I have to buy 2 more weapons. Um, Eshe created time. She's outside time. She begins time, and she assigns each season that lasts for centuries. Watch out, it's raining volcanic pyroclasts all over the battlefield. A lava shower is nothing to be taken lightly, or to be taken at all, for that matter. For that matter. See those charred spots they leave behind after crashing to the ground. We'd better avoid standing on them. This volcano is different and it's very methodical. Once it hits a spot, there is a good chance it will hit it again. Okay. So standing on the charred spots is literally playing with fire. Better our enemies than us. Okay. So she created the cosmos from nothing. She created time before everything. She then created the world. Put I put more, like, she didn't exactly make them in an order like that. She actually, my father says, don't judge yourself how you speak. Okay. I tried to make it like Aristotle said it, that God created time before everything else. So I didn't exactly follow the Bible. I followed myths pretty much. So that's what I did. I thought that it would be cool to be a little bit like a fairy tale, not exactly the Bible. My father says, "Why you say so?" Because in Greece the Bible is to be taken literally, not like a fairy tale. So I decided to give it a fairy tale essence, because the Bible is history, as I have explained in other videos. The Jews wrote the Bible as history, not as mythology. So Even for a Greek, the Bible is not mythology, it's history. That's how the Jews wrote it. So it is appropriation to say that it is not history. And because they saw it like that, that's why I say that I will do that. I will do that. So that's why I say that I tried to use something different, something more unique, let's put it that way, because I thought I chose wrong. I chose wrong. Anyways, I thought that it would make a better story. That's what I thought. To say something that would be mythic, I suppose, like a more fairy tale. And after she made the time and all that crap, she made the censure, and these are the guardians of time. And my father says, is this in the stories of Aristotle? No, Aristotle says that everything came from chaos to order, and it goes on the right side like the clock, and that will always go because the deity did it before everything else. So he doesn't have any guardians. So my father says no Lucifer and stuff like that. No, no, nothing like that at all. And when Esse created the century, which is obviously sounding like century, that's where I took the inspiration. I might not be a Tolkien with languages. I prefer how they sound like, and I don't overanalyze everything. Like I like philology, I suppose, but no, I'm not very like I like roots of the words. I know my shit. I know ancient Greek, I suppose, but I'm not overanalyzing my bullshit as Tolkien did. I have a difference in that regard with him. I don't overanalyze everything. That's what I do, and I just like the word when I was a teen, and I said, okay, let's go and do it, right? So Esse creates them, and they take care of time, and Morgoth. I went back to Silmarillion. Lar, Lar was the most beautiful of all the censure. I said he was the most beautiful. He also had the most uh, power in terms of like he was like an archangel pretty much. So it was him in the beginning, and the other guy was Sarduil. Obviously, I was inspired by Greek here. That name is mine. I created it when I was 15, and yeah, it's gibberish, but I like the ending that names like Archangel Michael and Gabriel have. It's Gavriil, Michael in Greek. So I kept the ending, and I made my own. So that guy actually is like Michael, and the other guy is Lucifer. So it's Lar and Sarduil, and these are the most powerful ones and the most beautiful, I said. And Lar thought that he should take power from everybody, even Esse, and the story says that he rebelled and took the screamers with him, who were his order. That's Greek Orthodox storytelling. Greek Orthodox people have a myth. It says that when Satan fell, he took all his angelic order with him. Obviously, as a theologian or as a person, I don't believe this story at all. If you ask me, I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I don't think it's not found in the Bible. Like word for word like that. It's a story. That's all I think about it. but I liked the flow as a story, and I said, okay, let's keep it, and let's say something similar, because I liked how it went. And I said that, um, well, um, he rebelled, if you want, and Esse was very upset with all that shit. She, my father says, was she always white, dressed with white hair and red eyes and red lips? Yes, she was. She was like that. She was very upset with what happened, and she stood up from her throne and tried to reason, I suppose. That's what she tried to do. She is the queen of tears in the story. Like from very early drafts, you see her as the woman that cries and weeps. So she's not like, if you ask me, Helga, did you get inspired by the Virgin Mary and the icons that cry and the statues that cry? No, I just imagined how Jesus wept in Lazarus, the Lazarus story, and I got inspired. Why are you crying, Dad? He says he likes it very much. Okay, so you are moved. I, Haga, what is he doing? He. I can't speak. He, I hear him crying, but like he's moved. I feel like the energy. Like Helga, do you hear him? I don't know how to describe it because I'm more in the company of spirits than with people. His energy, I hear his energy like it's complicated. I don't know how to describe it. So it's not like I have a feeling. No, I know it because I live it, but it's not in the same way that you would live with a guy that is with flesh and bones, pretty much. You get what I mean? So it's a feeling, but that doesn't mean that it is in my head. Like it's you read the energy. I don't know how to describe it. So it's like you see a human person, but it's not a human person. So you actually activate other senses combined, and you know it. Does that make any sense? So say if you hear Hannah doing like when the dogs are upset, don't they do like ooh, 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 don't they do that? Like if Hannah does that, don't you know that she's upset? But you didn't see her crying. That's how it feels. My father says it's a good example. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, that like when you hear her doing that, you know that she's actually upset, even though she's not crying or she doesn't say I am upset. Like you know it. That's how it works with the spirit. You just read their aura, you read their emotion because you hear them doing it. I don't know how to describe it. You feel you hear the energy. It's like it's a combination of seeing and feeling and hearing, but it's not working like conventional manner. It's spiritual. You get what I mean? And he says he has been moved by how I portray Essie. My father says because that's not how the Tolkien God works. Yeah, yeah. What Essie did later was to stand up. Okay, she stood up and she tried to reason. She was very upset with all that, and Lar touched her throne. That's what happened, and he didn't know that if he touched the throne, he thought that touching the throne would make him the king of the world, the ruler of the earth, as the story is named. He didn't know that if he did that, he would actually die and destroy himself, pretty much. He didn't see it coming. My controllers are shaking, and I try to understand why. So um, well, what happened was she Lar didn't know that I stay here. So Lar didn't know that if he touched the throne, that would make him a king. He thought that being a king is essentially being in the throne of Eshe. He didn't understand that something beyond that, and her power is because she's the deity, and it's not something that you can claim just randomly for yourself. He didn't get that. That's what I mean, and um, pretty much he brought his own downfall when he touched the throne. It's, my father says, it's fire that burns, right? Yeah, it's pir katanaliskon, it's for fire for the enemies. Eshe is love, but when Lar touched her throne, he became burned up. He was burned up instantly because he touched her throne and he thought he could become a god himself. And my father says he's he's tearing, he's moved. I don't know how to translate him. He's moved. He says this is such a beautiful story. Thank you very much, Helga. Thank you, Dad. So he got burned up by the pride that he had, and he went down, and that's the fallen angel, like allegory. Obviously it's gonna sound like, like very much older Christian imaginary, because I was born and raised in a Christian country, so these stories are part of my upbringing and my education. Lava Smasher, you found a new 3D model, check it out at the museum. Okay, so it's part of my identity as a person, crazy as it sounds. um, so that's why I put all of this. So he fell down. Yeah, in my angels I wanted them to be traditional Christian angels, the saints, so they have wings, and I imagined um, like Lar having like bat-like wings, not because I don't like bats, I love them to death. I just wanted to mimic the the imaginary that we have from the Middle Ages with Christians, and that's what I did. Right? If you want thicker, fuller forearms in a hurry, just get yourself one of these things. So that's what I did with Eshe, and Lar. She okay. Jim Besile, you found a new tarot. Check it out at the museum. Okay. As I was saying, he went down because he became a fallen angel, and when he went down he pretended to be Eshe. Fandom's theme, you found a new gold soundtrack, check it out at the museum. uh, before that he said that he is the ruler of the earth, and the people wanted him as a god, and they believed him and they took him as a deity. That upset Eshe very much, and she she actually she said she's going to destroy the earth, and she is regretting that she made everybody because they are disobedient, and she is discussing with herself at that point of the story, and she is crying once again, like her wrathful part meets her sad Eshe part, and she says that that's not who she is. She's not this person full of hatred. She's a good woman, and even if they are not good, she's not gonna become like the bad people, the foes. Lava Valkyrie, you found a new 3D model, check it out at the museum. Okay. So Eshe pretty much affirms her existence and says, that's not who I am. That's not who I am. Rabbits butt bump over hot surfaces as a test of strength and courage, much like far walking in the South Pacific. So that's what she's doing. My father says, Jake, you're gonna like this episode because it's about stories. It's used to keep the lava light and fluffy. Okay. So she is upset and angry, and she tells herself again, sad essay here. My father says, is tears something that you have very much in your story? Yes, it's fundamental in my story, the tears. Even Perseus has tears, and everybody else cry a lot, like Cassia cries about Odysseus, Odysseus cries about her, and so on. So Eshe cries to herself with tears, and she's sad Eshe, and she says, that's not who I am. I'm not this person. And her decision to remind herself that she is not full of hatred like people are, and that she is full of love and mercy and compassion, and she won't let anybody change that for her, makes her revolt her decision to destroy the earth. And she creates a plan with Sylvanus' grandson pretty much later. So she first makes the covenant with Sylvanus, ballistic mystic. The wizard had used to make this, was originally brought at a souvenir stand at an amusement park in New Jersey. So she reminds herself all that crap, and she says, I am going to make a covenant with the sons of Tentum, Buahrib machines. You found a new artwork, check it out at the museum. So after she finds the plan that she's gonna follow, she says to herself, when the going gets tough. Okay. So when she decides that, she puts it into act. She is promising Sylvanus new earth, that she will make everything new, and what went very horribly bad with Lar will not uh, will cease to happen, and he will be defeated. That's what she promises Sylvanus the Deathless, and she gets incarnated as the daughter of Liber, who is something like Moses and Jacob and Joseph, the father of Jesus, all at once. Pretty much she pretty much decides to change the fate of the world by becoming, I don't know how to say it, um, becoming one of the people, and she becomes one of the Tentumians. She makes her covenant with the Tentumians. My father says, does that mean that she is favoring them? No, she chose them from the others just because her best friend, that was the reason, that her best friend was Tentumian, Sylvanus. That's why she does it. She doesn't have any other reason. He says, is this the reason I did the same with the Hebrews? Yeah, definitely, because your friend was Abraham. My father says, am I making covenant with the Greeks now? But the Greeks are many people, don't forget that. Okay, so vampire. So as I was saying, Eshe, after all this, gets incarnated. You know the story, how it went, how she died, how she gets resurrected, and all that crap. And after Lar is defeated, he cannot present himself any longer as Lar or as Euterpe as he was once, because when he started to be worshipped, he was worshipped as Lar in the beginning, and then Ese wanted to destroy the world. After she wanted to destroy the world, he gets masqueraded as Euterpe, and people think they talk with the Euterpe and they talk with the Lar instead. So after he gets defeated by Ese, he he cannot do that anymore. He gets masqueraded as Ese, and those who get in contact with him, they know he's actually Euterpe, not necessarily if he's Lar or whatever. I don't say that they believe the entire story, but they know that it is Euterpe playing to be Ese. They just don't mind it. He's acting like a parasite as Zeus is acting with my dad. My dad is Theory. Again, he says he's very proud of me and he loves the story very much. So that's how it goes. My father says there is no death in the story. There is no death. There was originally death in the in the first world. That's how I made it. I don't know if I will revoke the action and I will make different story. But so far, the only death that exists is in the first days, and the only person who didn't die from that age was Sylvanus and his wife Actea, because he took her with him. And before that, he there wasn't anything as an exception. Everybody was dying, but after he gets Ese gets resurrected, the dead people go up in her heavenly realm pretty much. That's how I wrote it. So they exist again, they live again, but it's in a different dimension. They await for pretty much a second coming. That's how I have made it so far. I'm not really satisfied with it. I would prefer to change it. I prefer to do something different with it. Uh, Something, my father says something like making them visit them after death. Yes, something like creating a village, or like or an island, or a country like beyond the sea that you can go and visit the people that get resurrected, and you don't have to wait for them in the sky, because it seems to me like as if it's not even done. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I was thinking. And he says, so you would prefer it in a manner of like, okay, they aren't really gone there, you can go and see them, because the paradise that Tolkien has feels like the world of the ideas. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what was my idea. So that's my story. My father says, but Ese didn't punish people for what Lar did in the heavens. Ilúvatar did. Yes, Ilúvatar did that. And as I said, I liked Ilúvatar more when I returned from the church. But after I got to know my dad better personally, I realized that Ilúvatar is no match for my dad. Like, my dad is way better, and that I just didn't know something better back then, because both deities are Zeus essentially. So it is what it is. What you prefer more, like Hecate or Zeus? You get what I mean? So yeah. That's what I say. And that's the whole story. My father says he prefers my story because she didn't punish crazily everybody that didn't do anything to her. She only punished the one person, and when the others sinned, the sin he had was his, it was not somebody else's. And that's what he says the Hebrews were saying, that we ate the, I don't know how to describe it. We call it agurida in Greek. I don't know how to translate it. So the fruit, let's call it fruit here, okay? I just don't know the word. Έφαγαν την αγουρίδα, they ate the fruit, and the person that became numb was actually the son. My father says that's blasphemous. He doesn't operate like that, and the fact that the Jews say this just shows that they are in apostasy, and it's it's written in the in the stories of the, one moment, in the Old Testament you can find that. So that's the last part we discussed with my dad. I put the story and hope you enjoy the rest of it. So έφαγαν αγουρίδα. This is a proverb in a prophetic book in OT. I think Jeremiah. Can you find it and give it in English? Έφαγαν αγουρίδα, yeah, that's the ancient. Έφαγαν αγουρίδα is the modern. It's in book of Jeremiah, and it is echoed in Ezekiel as well. Yeah, it's part of a proverb used in ancient Israel to express intergenerational punishment. Greek, Septuagint, that's the original. Οι πατέρες έφαγαν αγουρίδα και οι όδοντες των ιών αιμοδυνίασαν. So that's Jeremiah 31:29, also in Ezekiel 18:2, English translation. The fathers have eaten sour grapes, okay, and the children's teeth are set on edge. Meaning and diagnosis. It was a common saying in Israel, children suffer for the sins of their parents. Yahweh rejects this proverb in both Jeremiah and Ezekiel, and he says, no longer will you use this proverb in Israel. Each person will die for their own sin. This marks a theological shift from collective punishment to individual responsibility. I agree with that very much. So my father says that I'm not teaching this, I am teaching the 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 story that everybody is punished for their own individual sin and not for everything that others have done before. You get what I mean? So yeah, that's why I did it, and I'm glad my dad likes it. Okay, so now I'm gonna put the video and hope you will listen to it. I will not speak very much. I will hear it and then I will say my pov. Okay. So here is the video. Let's listen to it. Sorry about the advertisement though.
Success begins with a person's will. It's a state of mind. It later also be said of Arwen.
Beginning.
The tale of Beren and Luthien. Throughout this series, we have discussed a number of different elements and themes within Tolkien's works, such as honor, greed, revenge, betrayal, and friendship. But perhaps the most important aspect that has been left mostly unmentioned is that of love. The love between Beren and Luthien was considered by Tolkien to be the center of his legendarium, and would later go on to inspire the story of Aragorn and Arwen in Lord of the Rings. The tale of Beren and Luthien in many ways embodies the key aspects of fantasy literature, as well as drawing strongly from Tolkien's own life. Beren was born in northwestern Middle-earth, the son of the last chieftain of one of the houses of men that had resisted Morgoth instead of joining him. Morgoth's
Evil aside, it's nice to see some things are still done by hand.
armies swept across his homeland during his youth, destroying their kingdom and killing most of their people. Beren, his father, and 10 followers managed to escape the destruction, and lived as outlaws in the Highlands, performing many acts of bravery against Morgoth. Eventually, however, one of the followers was deceived and captured by Sauron, and betrayed the location of the group. Only Beren managed to live, as he was out on an errand at the time. He swore an oath to avenge his father, and managed to recover his father's ring from the orcs, an elven artifact and heirloom of his people. Beren continued to live as an outlaw, harassing Morgoth and his forces, and earning great renown for himself. Eventually, however, he was forced to abandon his homeland completely, and went into the nearby elven kingdom of Doriath, where he met Luthien. Luthien was born in Doriath during the Years of the Trees, the daughter of King Thingol, an elf, and Melian, a Maya. As she was the offspring of both an elf and a Maya, she was said to be the fairest maiden to ever live, a remark which would later also be said of Arwen. She would often spend her days dancing in the woods, which is where Beren first saw her. Beren instantly fell in love with her upon seeing her, and Luthien grew to love him as well. Beren, moved by Luthien's grace, beauty, and enchanting voice, gave her the nickname Nightingale. King Thingol unfortunately disliked Beren, and refused to give his daughter's hand in marriage to a mortal, so he asked an impossible task of Beren. Before he could marry his daughter, Beren must retrieve one of the Silmarils from Morgoth's Iron Crown, and return it to Thingol. Beren accepted the quest, and left Doriath towards Morgoth's fortress. On the way, he stopped at an elvish stronghold, which was...
Okay. Interplanetary house, you found a new tarot and check it out at the museum. Okay.
from Morgoth's Iron Crown, and return it to Thingol. Beren accepted the quest, and left Doriath towards Morgoth's fortress. On the way, he stopped at an elvish stronghold, which was under the leadership of King Finrod, who had sworn an oath of friendship to Beren's father. Years earlier, Beren's father had saved Finrod's life in a battle, and Finrod had given his ring to Beren's father. Finrod and 10 warriors joined up with Beren for his quest, but 2 sons of Feanor lived in the stronghold and opposed their mission. They warned the company not to...
Oh god, I have to charge the fucking camera. Hold on a second. I have charged my fucking phone. I will put my other cable. Hope I don't disrupt the footage. So I will put the video slightly behind when... Okay. When I will resume. Okay. So let's continue. I will put it a little bit behind. Okay.
...of a stronghold, which was under the leadership of King Finrod, who had sworn an oath of friendship to Beren's father. Years earlier, Beren's father had saved Finrod's life in a battle, and Finrod had given his ring to Beren's father. Finrod and 10 warriors joined up with Beren for his quest, but 2 sons of Feanor lived in the stronghold and opposed their mission. They warned the company not to take the Silmaril that rightfully belonged to Feanor's kin, but the group pressed on anyways. Finrod gave the company orc disguises, and they moved on towards Morgoth's fortress. Unfortunately, the disguises failed, and the group was captured and imprisoned. One by one, the group was killed by a werewolf, until only King Finrod and Beren remained. As the werewolf went to strike Beren, Finrod broke his chains and began wrestling with the creature. Finrod fought with such ferocity that the 2 died together, but Beren was still a captive.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to him, Luthien had secretly followed him, against her father's orders. she was captured by the two sons of Feanor and taken to the elvish stronghold. Here, Huan, a great hound given to one of the sons by the Valar, felt pity for Luthien and helped her escape. Huan also accompanied Luthien to Sauron's fortress, where Beren was being held captive. Huan was prophesied to only be killable by the greatest of all wolves, and so he proceeded to kill all the werewolves present at the fortress, including defeating Sauron himself in wolf form. In his weakened state, Luthien forced Sauron to give her ownership of the fortress, and to free all the captives, including Beren. Sauron then fled in vampire form, and Luthien and Beren were reunited. Beren was still set on completing his task, but Luthien insisted on going with him. Together they set out from Sauron's fortress, but were attacked by the two sons of Feanor, who had now been exiled from the elvish stronghold. The two, with the assistance of Huan the Hound, fended off the brothers, although Beren was wounded in the fight. Luthien healed him using an herb and magic, and also used magic to disguise the two of them as a werewolf and a bat-like creature.
Okay.
The two went into the lands of the enemy, and finally entered into Morgoth's fortress. Beren managed to creep behind Morgoth's throne in wolf form, but Luthien's disguise was removed from her by Morgoth's will. Then, Luthien sang an enchanting song and danced in front of Morgoth to cause him and his court to fall into a slumber. As they all slept, Beren crept up onto the throne and cut one of the Silmarils from Morgoth's iron crown. The jewel did not burn his hand, but then he had a thought to go beyond his vow and take all 3 Silmarils from Morgoth. As he began to cut out the second one, his knife snapped, and a shard cut Morgoth's cheek. The court began to awaken, and Beren and Luthien fled in fear, without disguises. Morgoth did not pursue the two, but instead the gate to leave was protected by Kakaroth, the greatest wolf to ever live. Kakaroth was bred by Morgoth for the specific purpose of killing Huan, as per the prophecy regarding him. When the two had entered the fortress, Luthien had enchanted the beast to slumber, but now she had not the strength nor time to quell the wolf, so Beren held out the Silmaril in an attempt to scare Kakaroth. The great wolf hesitated for a moment, before biting Beren's hand off at the wrist, consuming the Silmaril. The wolf's innards were filled with a flame of anguish, and he fled the fortress in a legendary madness and terror, slaughtering everything in his path. Luthien helped Beren with his injury, but Morgoth and his forces were not far behind them, and things began to look dire. Just then, 3 eagles descended toward the fortress, and rescued Beren and Luthien from their predicament. The earth shook and trembled from Morgoth's anger, but the eagles managed to carry the two to safety back in Doriath. The story of their deeds softened Thingol's heart, and even though Beren had not succeeded in his quest, he was allowed to marry Thingol's daughter. Unfortunately, Kakaroth was still mad with pain, and swept across the lands like a destroying fire, with nothing hindering him.
How do you find something special when
Fuck my
everything
life.
looks the same?
And fuck my life with my game as well. They're not allowing me to go there.
In his quest, but the eagles managed to carry the two to safety back in Doriath. The story of their deeds softened Thingol's heart, and even though Beren had not succeeded in his quest, he was allowed to marry Thingol's daughter. Unfortunately, Kakaroth was still mad with pain, and swept across the lands like a destroying fire, with nothing hindering him. Thus Beren went out with Thingol, Huan, and others to hunt the great beast, who was not difficult to find. Huan and Kakaroth fought, in a battle between wolf and hound that has never had an equal, eventually killing each other on the banks of a river. Unfortunately, in the skirmish, Beren was fatally wounded by Kakaroth, and lay there dying next to Huan. As they cut open Kakaroth's stomach, Beren took the Silmaril and offered it to Thingol. Unfortunately, in the skirmish, Beren was fatally wounded by Kakaroth, and lay there dying next to Huan. As they cut open Kakaroth's stomach, Beren took the Silmaril and offered it to Thingol, completing his quest. When they returned him to Doriath, Beren died in Luthien's arms, and she told him to wait for her in the halls of Mandos. Beren's spirit remained in the halls for a time, waiting for Luthien and not passing from this world.
I lost it a little bit here, sorry.
Unfortunately, in the skirmish, Beren was fatally wounded by Kakaroth, and lay there dying next to Huan. As they cut open Karkaroth's stomach, Beren took the Silmaril and offered it to Thingol, completing his quest. When they returned him to Doriath, Beren died in Luthien's arms, and she told him to wait for her in the halls of Mandos. Beren's spirit remained in the halls for a time, waiting for Luthien and not passing from this world. In her grief, Luthien also died, and her spirit went to the halls of Mandos as well. There she sang a song for Mandos, a song more sorrowful and fair than ever the world would hear, combining the sorrow of elves and the grief of men. And with her tears Mandos was moved to pity in a way he had never before been, nor would he ever be again. Thus Luthien was given two choices: to live in Valinor until the world's end, forgetting all griefs and without Beren, or returning to Middle-earth with Beren as a mortal. Luthien chose to be with Beren, and the two lived as mortals in Middle-earth. There they had descendants that combined the blood of elves, men, and Maiar, and eventually they both died as mortals, passing beyond Arda to a fate unknown. Thus ends the tale of Beren and Luthien, a story passed down throughout the ages of Middle-earth. As I mentioned previously, it is considered central to the legendarium, especially by Tolkien himself, who was inspired to create the story because of his wife. In fact, on the gravestone for Tolkien and his wife, Beren and Luthien are listed underneath their names. Overall, the tale of Beren and Luthien is a beautiful, endearing story that I hope continues to be told throughout the ages.
It ended, I don't know what it says here, that thus wherever grief might lie in wait, the fates of Beren and Luthien might be joined, and their paths led together beyond the confines of the world. The creator of the video said that this is the most beautiful story, and it has to be said again. For me, it is the most disgusting story I have ever read today. Like I said the same thing, my father says you said the same thing for the little magic girl. The interesting thing that with human stupidity, why he laughs? Why is he laughing? The interesting thing with human stupidity is that it always manages to impress you and give you something to believe that humans can be more horrible than they were before. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head, however. Like, I had Andersen in the other video and Saramago, and they wrote horrible stories, and now we have Tolkien writing that he was inspired by his wife to write about a guy that resembles Hercules and Eurystheus, who was a guy that made him complete 12 tasks. Say you watched Hercules. The original Hercules is about a guy that goes to a guy in Mykines, and the guy is named Eurystheus. I don't know how to say him in English. I suppose Eurystheus, something like that. This guy tells Hercules if he wants to avoid the wrath of Hera and be restored to divinityhood, pretty much, he has to pretty much do some tasks, 12 tasks of Hercules, and become hero. And that's because for a Greek, becoming a hero is the most important stuff you can do as a Greek, is become a hero, not a Greek. And when he completes them, he is married with a Megara. You know her, the heroine. But when he marries her, Hera drives her crazy and him, and he doesn't understand that she is his wife, and he kills her and their kids. And after that he marries another woman, something like that, I'm not really sure, and she gives him a poisoned cloak. He is burnt alive in a pyre, fire if you like, pyre, and it's a Greek word, pyra, right? So he dies, and when he dies he goes back to Olympus, where he is joined by his father Zeus, and he gets into terms with Hera. My father says why Hera hated him, because she was he was the son of Zeus, and he was the son of a mortal woman that Hera obviously was jealous of because she was the lover of Zeus. No, Zeus didn't do anything. My father says, did Zeus do anything for her or for his son? No, nothing, absolutely nothing. He takes him with him in heaven, in Olympus, where his relationship after death is restored with Hera. Hercules becomes immortal and he marries another woman named Evie, which in Greek is the word for youth. Evie means youth, and she's the goddess of youth, and she's the youngest, most beautiful daughter of Hera and Zeus, this goddess. She is insanely beautiful. Some myths say even more beautiful than Aphrodite herself. Some say she's the same person. Aphrodite is a titaness, however, by all means. My father says so. There is no Megara in the story of Hercules because this will upset Ze very much, he says. No, there is no Megara in the story. No Megara. Megara gets murdered by Hercules because Hercules is given madness, divine madness by Hera. She punishes him with blindness and craziness, and she makes him not recognize his sons with Megara and his own wife, so he kills all the three of them, and before he commits suicide he basically starts his 12 his 12 games, pretty much, the games that he has to play in order to become immortal and shit. So no, my father says so, nothing about Megara, nothing about Megara. There is no erotic love in Game Over, fuck my life. There is no erotic love in Greek myth. I don't know why people keep saying that. There is nothing like that in Greek myth. It's foreign, it's alien. You are not expected to love erotically somebody in Greek myth if you are worshipping Zeus. You are expected to love romantically maybe God, maybe your own previous better life, better version. Like if you came back as an reincarnation today, let's say you are Ze today, a Chinese guy. If you do hypnosis and you find out that you were an old soul and not a new soul, usually Zeus says that you are an old soul, just to give you the crap that you are sinful, you get what I mean? Usually you are an old soul. He has told me I am an old soul. Obviously this is demonic, don't believe it. I'm just explaining how this works. So if you die and he is telling you that you are an old soul, you were something better in your previous life than you are today, and you have to adore the previous life and fall in love with the previous life that you had, and you are expected to become a better version of that version you had. Like let's say that you are an ancient Athenian philosopher and now you are a Chinese scholar. You must grieve for what you lost and you have to say, okay, now I will do even better than that time that I was an ancient Athenian, because I have to reach nirvana, you get what I mean? That's how it works, and you will probably, my father says he's familiar with that. That's how it works. So you have to remember, I was better, now I am downgraded, I have to go even better in the next life, aka reach nirvana. You have to stop the cycle of returning back to earth. You have to reach nirvana and leave the earth entirely. My father says like Beren Luthien left the world. Yes, exactly. So I hate the story because it's all about death, opening up bodies. Silmaril, the thing all reminds me of Eurystheus, the guy that gave the games to Hercules very much. He's the same person. I hate this narrative very, very much. I absolutely do. I think it's horrible. I think it's gruesome. I don't think it has any reason to be told again and again. I think we have to stop saying these stories. entirely, because the point the point they have is not reaching love, like the nirvana Yahweh has for people is love, completeness in Christ. Reaching perfection in Christ means achieving the love of God, being one with God. For a Christian is being equally measured in the love that he has for you. You must have it for other people. That's the nirvana for Yahweh. My father is clapping and he says that's the best thing you have ever said as a prophet. Thank you. Also, these people are all about immortality and all about death and wars, and you hear about the love story. It's not a love story, it's just Hercules renamed as Beren, and you think that's beautiful. It's not beautiful. It's a retelling of an old Greek pagan myth, and it's disgusting to say that it is beautiful and wow, Tolkien made mythology. No, he didn't make mythology. He just transported Zeus from Greece to modern England, and let me tell you, Zeus doesn't really like when you turn his bullshit into other country bullshit, because he loves Greeks very much. He is obsessed with them, and if you say they are nasty people, let's put it that way, say you are not really exactly in his favor umbrella space, pretty much. So what I'm trying to say is that the story is a retelling of the old myth. It's not exactly new, and it doesn't offer anything. It just says that a woman that was immortal, exactly like Arwen with Aragorn, she sacrifices her immortality to be with the man she loves, and they die, both of them, and that somehow is labeled as beautiful and romantic. It's not. It's a glorification of death and separation. Death means separation. It doesn't mean separation from God, separation from people you love. When people saw Lazarus dying, they asked Jesus, why didn't you intervene, Lord? They didn't say he ascended, he did it for love. No, they said, why did you take him for us? Death means separation. So people saying that a love story that it is like fundamentally based on death as romantic, for me that's crazy news. I don't understand how I am able to live in a such planet where death has such a prominent like position, let's put it that way. I find it crazy to say the least, and no, it's not. She sacrifices her youth to Mandos. Mandos is the god of death. Mandos is just a different storytelling of Hades. Hades was asked by many people throughout the ages to return dead people back on earth, and even Sisyphus managed to trick him. He told Persephone and Hades that his wife didn't bury him properly in the earth, and he had to leave Hades, the underworld, in order to arrange the funeral in a better manner. And that is crazy to say that it's the first time we say the story of like Beren and Luthien, because the story of Sisyphus is the exact same. You have a couple that somehow is connected in the underworld, but in the Greek narration you have them pretty much not exactly like being united in the death realm, but in the living realm, because he said she didn't bury him properly. So what does Sisyphus do? He meets his wife in the other world, in the real world, right? My father says he meets her in the real world because he is the Luthien of the Greek version. Yes, exactly. He's very correct. I didn't notice that. So he gets permission from Hades as she takes permission from Mandos. And when they get out of this separation that death causes them, either reunite in living world or not, that's what I say, they get reunited through the intervention of the god of death. That's what it happens there. So what Sisyphus is doing, like, let me go and see my wife, she didn't bury me properly according to the Greek custom. This is repeated through Luthien, who her action singing for her dead partner brings them together. That's what happens. That's the story. So what I have to say here is I didn't write my Sylvanus story like this. My Sylvanus story is built in hope and eternal love, because God is love. If God is love, then love is eternal. And I wrote a myth that I haven't seen anywhere in the world. I said I've seen retellings of the Greek myths everywhere, and I see barbarians like Tolkien. He was born in South Africa by British parents, and he migrated to fucking Britain. I'm not cursing the country, by the way. He migrated there, and he called my people nasty people. He was a barbarian for Greek understanding, and yet he robbed us from our myths. That's disgusting to say the least. He reiterated a myth that is long standing in Greece, Hercules, and if I add Sisyphus as well, Sisyphus and Hercules, both myths are very old myths in Greece, date 3000 years ago, and I said to myself, nothing new. Recycled, like the tree of life of Zeus, the circle of life. My father is laughing. I'm not seeing anything new. I want something new. I want new heavens and new earth here, and I think I have the way to make it happen. And I said to myself, I will make it happen. I have the way. I will give the Enoch figure a wife that doesn't die and go to death away from him. She joins him where his queen has told him he is about to go. He will be translated and he won't taste death like all the others will, because he was so close to her and he wasn't participating in the sinful nature the others were sharing, because instead of sinning and glorifying death and glorifying suffering and pain and idolatry and all that crap, instead of doing that and idolizing sexual purity, Sylvanus sought to be a friend of Ephes, and not seeing her as a deity but seeing her as a friend and talking to her like they were equals. And when she says, you're gonna come with me and you're not gonna die like everybody else, Sylvanus tells her something that nobody else before him ever did. Can I see her with me when I come to you? I don't want her to die like everybody else will. I don't want to be immortal if she can't be with me. That's what Sylvanus asks Esse. He asks her because he says, I cannot live an eternity nor even minutes without her, and I'm not gonna tell you make me mortal, because what makes Sylvanus deathless is exactly his nature. He rejects everything that has to do with death fundamentally. So when he joins the queen and he's so close to the queen herself, he's rejecting death as a sequence. So you can't expect such a guy to say make me immortal. Of course not. He tells the queen to bend eternity, as Copilot said, around even his own wife and save her from the same fate that everybody else will have, and says, can I take her with me? And Esse says yes. And that's a true story. That's not a fabrication. I didn't write it because I have a great imagination, obviously I do, but that was not the part of the story. The point of the story was to narrate my reality, my living reality, what I have lived myself from Yahweh when I asked him the exact same question: can I take my husband with me? If I am Calypso, if I am Luthien, if I am Arwen, because even Arwen sacrificed her immortality for him, Aragorn. Tolkien thought that his bullshit is so amazing, he gave us 3 different stories to see it. Arwen with Aragorn, he dies and then she joins him later. Melian, she is divorced by Thingol. Thingol dies because he's greedy. Beren dies like a Hercules and he is reunited with Luthien and then they die together and she joins him after a bit and that's romantic. No, for me that's gloomy, that's Halloween. That's Halloween. I don't like it. I refuse to like it. And if you think I am crazy, I think you are crazy for calling this bullshit as romantic. I think it's deeply demonic, unsettling, and I have to thank my dad. Thank you, Father, for punishing humanity to death because they ask you to kill them. He's laughing. They say, God, we don't like living, kill us. We prefer death. We prefer to be in our deathbed away from our partners, to die, divorce them and go in a different realm and cry about our loss and have the partner greedy, die, everybody dies, Beren dies, Luthien dies, everybody dies. They beg you, Dad, to kill them. And I thank you for killing them. Because this is what they are asking you to do. They're not asking for eternal life. They're not coming for you for eternal life, Father. That sounds like a prayer, like a prophecy. They are not asking you for eternal life. They are asking you for death. And thank you very much for giving them what they ask you, because you show that you are faithful and merciful. And when you are asked to give somebody something, you are not late to give it to them, and you give it exactly as they ask. Ask and you shall receive, so your joy may be complete. And you do exactly that. You are giving them what their joy is all about: death. Thank you for killing all of them, all those years, all those centuries. This is what they want. From Hesiod to Homer to Tolkien, everybody glorifies death. That's why I say thank you for doing what you are in your nature. Ask and you shall receive. They ask for death, kill them. My father says I want you to say out loud this from me. Helga, some years ago you had been told in class, why do you want to live forever, Helga? And you said, I won't die. My father will come and take me. I was saying that not because I knew something about me. I was saying that because I didn't want to die. That's why I was saying that, Dad. He says, I know you did it. I'm telling you what you were saying. You said what you didn't know. You were saying you're gonna be taken and not die like the others. And they were telling you, I am not going to die. And they were saying you're gonna get bored of eternity, Helga. It's eternity. If you live and die, that's better. I'm gonna give these people exactly as you told me. As you said in your video, I'm gonna give them what they are asking me to give them. They will die, they will go to their ground in their bed in the earth. That's how he said. He said the bed of the earth. He said it poetically. I'm trying to translate. But you won't die. That's not for you because you are a faithful servant. They said for you. They say, sorry, I'm trying to translate, sorry about that, he's speaking Greek to me always. They said for Charlie that that he will hear from me, well done, my faithful and good servant, and you got jealous that they didn't say it to you. I am telling you here on your channel that I am going to say this to you right now. Well done, my good and faithful servant, because being deathless is not an epithet, it's not pagan, it's a way of life, it's embodying deathlessness, and you chose life over death in multiple occasions. And that's why I say thank you, my good and faithful servant. Thank you, Dad. Sorry if I take moments to translate. I struggle sometimes to translate from Greek to English. It's not always easy for me. He says, I'm gonna grant you what you asked. You asked me to have your husband with you. I'm gonna grant this to you as I told you 2 years ago. Thank you, my dad. Thanks. Because you said, he says, that the story of Beren and Luthien is not a nice story because it glorifies death, and you wrote a story that's indeed unique and alone in the world. I hope I translated properly. Like he says, it's unique, like it stands alone. That's what he says in the world. Monadiki is the word that he says. You speak about a person that it is immortal, and he doesn't reject immortality for his partner. He desires immortality for his partner. That's sacrificial love. That's Jesus dying so others have eternal life, because their God is stripping immortality from everybody, so everybody joins them to death. You speak about a deity that grants immortality to every mortal. That's the Christ-like nature. Thank you, my good and faithful servant. Anyways, thank you, Dad. Thank you for that. Anyways, I'm gonna finish the video. I'm not gonna play more. That video was for you, Zhe. My dad says that video was dedicated for you, Zhe, because I know you love literature and poetry, and we discussed for 2 and more hours with Helga poetry here, and we hope you like our video together for you. Thank you too for watching, and I love you. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.